Distinguished guests, please be seated, and our conference is going to get started. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Thank you for making time to Oldenburg City to participate in the workshop on the sustainable development of animal husbandry. Animal husbandry cooperation is an integral part of China-Germany cooperation, and it is also an important topic. On the 9th Sino-German Agricultural Week, National Animal Husbandry Services, NAHS, holds this workshop and invites Chinese and foreign experts to introduce the latest developments in this sector. We also invite companies and institutions from this sector to have exchanges and to speed up our program process. And now please allow me to introduce the leaders and guests today. Mr. Su Hongtian, Chief Livestock Officer of NAHS. Mr. Goertz from BMEL Division. Professor Aiguo from China Agricultural University. And Professor Yachun, also from China Agricultural University. Mr. Delfs from the team of the Veterinary work group. Besides, we have 3 online experts participating in this workshop. They are Joachim Mentschel and Director Mischok from the Official Veterinarian of the Veterinary Office, Oldenburg. And Dr. Oldenburg also will participate in this workshop online. Let's give a round of applause for these experts. Now let's welcome Mr. Su Hongtian, Chief Livestock Officer, to make an opening remark. Distinguished Mr. Goertz, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me a great pleasure to meet you in Oldenburg City, Anhui Province, to discuss the sustainable development of animal husbandry. First, on behalf of National Animal Husbandry Services, I'd like to extend warm welcome and heartfelt appreciation to the German colleagues and our experts in China for your long-term support. Sino-German Animal Husbandry Cooperation is an integral part of our agricultural cooperation. Under the leadership and support of our 2 agricultural ministries, we have conducted effective work and yielded fruitful results. Over the past 10 years, Chinese livestock companies have introduced and learned modern technologies and philosophies and improved its production and management level. We also promote the application of German genetic material, inputs, and machinery. Both Chinese and German enterprises have gained tangible benefits from our cooperation. Since the 3 phases of our project, we have participated in many meetings and accompanied German experts to call farms for on-site instruction, and I closely followed the progress of our projects. As far as I'm concerned, the project have yielded effective results and is widely recognized. The breeding companies highly appreciated German experts for bringing us useful, handy, and effective technologies and experience. NAHS would like to further improve communication and coordination with the German counterparts to accelerate the on-site instruction and demonstration training. Today's workshop is an important activity and also an important theme of our animal husbandry project. NAHS highly values this conference and workshop and discuss with the German counterparts to identify the theme and content of this workshop. We also invite famous experts to do presentations, and I believe after this workshop, all of us will have a deeper understanding about the direction of our cooperation, and we will have promising project cooperation results. And here I'd like to recall one of our old friends, Dr. Karpok, and to show our respect and commemorate to him. During his stay in China, he was delegated, hardworking, and humble, and has played an important role in our cooperation in pig industry, contributing a lot in the planning and implementation of our Phase 3 project. We will not forget him, and we will never forget all the contributors to our China-Germany projects. And here I would like to further carry out more cooperation with companies that committed to the bringing in and going global of its products. And here I'd like to continue to build more platform for international cooperation and contributing to the high quality and sustainable development of the animal husbandry industry. Here I wish the workshop a complete success. And to show our respect and to Ms. Dr. Carpent, NAHS collected some typical photos of him and also made these photos an album. And I'd like to give this album to Mr. Carpenter's best friend, and we want him can hand this album to the relatives of Mr. Carpenter.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, indeed, Dr. Krapot was one of the main architects and pillars of this long and trusting cooperation, who unfortunately passed away on September 25th. Dr. Krapot was initially a senior consultant of the pig component within the project from 2015 and became the team leader at the beginning of the third phase of the project in 2022. With him, we have lost an exceptional and highly respected team leader, colleague, and also friend, who has also left his mark on me and on my work for the last 5 years. I would like to thank you, Mr. Su, the team of the NHS, of the International Division, and all Chinese friends for the strong support, especially in the early hours, receiving the message of his death. Thank you very much.
好，下面我们请德国联邦食品与农业部双边国际项目合作处格尔兹先生致辞，大家欢迎。
Ladies and gentlemen, dear Mr. Su, dear Ms. Wang, distinguished guests, Ni Men Hao, Hen Gaoxing, Sai Wang Bu. It is a great privilege and an honor for me to stand before you today as a representative of the German Federal Ministry of Food and Agriculture on the occasion of this session during the Sino-German Agriculture Week. The topic of our discussion, sustainable development of animal husbandry, is of paramount importance as we address the challenges and opportunities in the agriculture sector, particularly in the context of our bilateral relations. The ties between our two nations are deeply rooted in a long-standing cooperation in this field. Today, as we discuss the sustainable development of animal husbandry, it is essential to recognize the significance of this sector in ensuring food security, environmental protection, animal welfare, and the overall well-being of our populations following the concept of One Health. Sustainable development, a goal that unites our two nations, lies at the heart of our discussions. It entails meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. The key question we face is how to ensure that our agricultural practices are economically viable, environmentally friendly, and socially responsible. In the realm of animal husbandry, the challenges are many. Climate change, resource scarcity, and growing populations have necessitated a fundamental shift in our approach. We must strive to achieve the delicate balance between producing enough food to feed the world and conserving our natural resources for the generations to come. Germany and China have both made significant strides in promoting sustainable agricultural practices, and we have learned the last days a lot about these practices. Germany's experience in agro-environmental measures, animal welfare standards, and organic farming is noteworthy. China, as one of the world's largest consumers and producers of livestock, plays a vital role in shaping the future of animal husbandry. By sharing our experiences and knowledge, we can foster a partnership that contributes to the global transition towards sustainable agriculture. To realize these goals, we must focus on key areas. We have to look at the impact of meat consumption and a healthy diet. We have learned it this morning. We have to use technology and innovation. And therefore, I'm grateful for the business partners and also the startups who brings in the innovation which is needed to achieve the goal to reduce the resource consumption. We have to focus on environmental stewardship. Sustainable animal husbandry should minimize the environmental footprint. Promoting practices that reduce greenhouse gas emissions, minimize water usage, and protect biodiversity is essential. We have also to increase our efforts on animal welfare. Ensuring the ethical treatment of animals is not only a moral imperative, but also enhances the quality and safety of animal products. And this leads me that we have to guarantee the food safety. Safe and high quality food products are essential. Cooperation in food safety standards and regulations can bolster consumer confidence in our products. But we also have to enforce education and knowledge exchange. Continuous learning and sharing best practices are critical. Initiatives such as this event, or the work with the demonstration farms here in China, are essential in fostering the collaboration and exchange required to achieve the goals. And finally, we have to design the right policies. Effective policies and regulations are needed to create an environment for sustainable animal husbandry. Government support, incentives, and regulations should be aligned with these goals. It's my firm belief that our joint efforts in these areas will not only strengthen the Sino-German relationship, but also make a substantial contribution to global food security and sustainable agriculture. Together, we can pave the way for a brighter and more sustainable future where agriculture is not only a source of nourishment, but also a guardian of our environment and a beacon of hope for generations to come. I would like to extend my gratitude to all participants, speakers, and organizers of this workshop for your commitment to this crucial endeavor. Together, let us build a bridge to a more sustainable future in animal husbandry, one that benefits our nations, our people, and the entire world. Building such a bridge lies also at the heart of Dr. Jörg Krappert. Our thoughts and feelings are with the family of Dr. Krappert. Our obligation is to continue his work with the same enthusiasm. Sheshe Dr. Krappert, Sheshe Bangbu, Sheshe the National Animal Husbandry Service for the good cooperation, and I'm looking forward for more. Sheshe.
感谢戈尔兹先生的致辞，也感谢
Thank you very much, Mr. Goertz, and I'd like to thank BMEL for your strong cooperation and support to Sino-German Cooperation. And next, let's come to the presentation part. Due to limited time, we have 3 German experts, and they have already made pre-recorded videos. And they are also participating in this conference online. The first video is from Dr. Mentschel, and he will introduce the traits of different costs, which is different from the theme on the agenda. And if you have any questions, you can raise your questions during the workshop. So the first presentation is the trait of mental cattle. The presentation is provided by Mr. Joachim Mentschel.
Ladies and gentlemen, for the pre-recorded videos, there will be no Chinese-English simultaneous interpretation. You may refer to the screens for the Deutsch language. And for those Chinese participants, you may just listen to the video. Thank you.
体型细长，抗病性减弱，偏乳生产。右侧 A 类属于 R 类和 S 类特性兼备的全能品种，健康、性能和体质均相对均衡，是育种目标的代表。这些牛只的用途取决于现有种群以及使用 A、S 或者 R 类牛只的生产目标。尽管德系西曼塔尔牛属于兼用品种，但其产奶性却毫不逊色。图表是由8种产奶性能测定中心提供的，涉及不同品种的牛只平均年单产量。可见，德系西曼塔尔母牛年单产量仅8吨，黑白花年单产9吨多，差量仅1.5到2吨。另外，德系西曼塔尔牛远远优于黑白花牛的特性是牛奶的体细胞数。德系西曼塔尔牛的肉用性能不可小觑，出肉率最高可达60%，屠宰体重最高可达750公斤，而且摄肉率很高，大理石肉纹清晰。相应的屠宰性状在8周图表中也已表明。纯种德系西曼塔尔牛的屠宰平均体重，公牛和母牛的体重均核算在内，可达420公斤。相较而言，黑白花的平均屠宰体重仅为366公斤。原因在于德系西曼塔尔牛在育肥后期蛋白储存充足，体脂增量低，远远优于黑白花牛的育肥特性。消费者更喜欢摄入率更高的牛肉，因此德系西曼塔尔牛更具有育肥经济价值，其肉的等级更高，评分达到3.64， 脂肪等级为2.38，而黑白花肉质等级仅为2.31，脂肪等级为2.07。脂肪等级相较的原因在于黑白花牛的屠宰体重明显较低。我们做过育肥实验，针对德系西门卡尔公牛育肥，分别采用含有不含有玉米清除的 TMR 日粮对比日增重，并测试如何达到最大的日增重。大家可以从图表中读取实验结果。采用含有玉米清除的 TMR 日粮，牛只的采食量明显更大，其中干物质采食量和能量储备增幅与采用不含玉米清除的日粮相近。令人高兴的是，在采用含有玉米清除的日粮时，日增重的效果更好。尽管在实验阶段日增重有高低变化，但平均每天2公斤，即使在育肥后期也能达到1.8公斤每天。为什么包括用德系西门卡尔公牛育肥在内的很多德国育肥场考虑的不仅仅是更高的屠宰单重和饲料转化比率？原因在于和其他品种相比，德系西门卡尔牛具有更高的抗病性和健康度，即骨骼强健、体躯健硕，即使使用肉粪地板饲养，也不会出现骨折等问题。说到经济效益，就得说说纯种西门卡尔独牛，因其独特的优势而非常受市场的欢迎。2022年和2023年，通过跟踪对比，德系西门卡尔公牛每公斤的价格保持在5.5到6.5欧元之间，并且2023年平均价格为6.19欧元，2022年为6.1欧元，价格优势明显。而赫格公牛2023年和2022年的价格仅为每公斤3.61和3.68欧元，在巴州销售80到100公斤的西门塔尔公牛，每头最高可获得600欧元，经济效益显著。除了纯种德系西门塔尔独牛以外，用其杂交改良的牛只后代同样非常受市场欢迎，比如与黑白花的杂交后代。其中，德国一家存来1000头、年耕种率约30%的赫斯坦牛场，借助信控动静，每年杂交达500台左右。按照每头杂交独牛销售价为500欧元计算，每年额外收入可达25万欧元。德系西门塔尔牛还有另外一项养殖优势，与赫斯坦牛相比，德系西门塔尔牛更易于管理。赫斯坦牛养殖需要更高的管理水平，更加的营养饲喂效果。如果达不到，就会过度损失体躯储能，即产奶初期体重过度下降，并且会导致新陈代谢类疾病。而西门塔尔牛遇到饲养和饲喂方面不足时，只会出现产奶量相应下降的情况，但绝不会产生疾病损失。面对养殖条件和管理水平具有更高的包容度，与赫斯坦牛正好相反。关于巴州独牛群体分布情况如下：德系西门塔尔及弗莱维赫独牛，通常父母代均为同品种牛只，占比87.7%。其他品种，比如黑白花母牛和红白花母牛，分别近10%和41%用德系西门塔尔公牛杂交。可见，德系西门塔尔公牛作为附带用于杂交改良，非常受市场欢迎。如果将不同品种的独牛性状做对比的话，同样涉及饲喂营养、养殖条件、育种值和育种目标等方面。当然，总体来说，在巴州，德系西门塔尔牛的死胎率拥有3.2%，而黑白花牛的死胎率会达到4.8%。德系西门塔尔牛死亡率低的原因在于其受饲喂配方改变的影响较小，适应度高，并且体况稳定，很少受困于新陈代谢类疾病。在巴州，德系西门塔尔牛因代谢疾病造成的死逃仅为2.3%，而黑白花则翻倍，已达4.3%。 德系西蒙塔尔种群不仅存于8州，在意大利也有。从本图的统计数据可以看出，纯种赫斯坦牛和西蒙塔尔牛，包括蒙贝利亚牛的狗群情况。赫斯坦牛养殖重在日产较重的干物质含量，可达日产2.7到2.9公斤。也就是说，多数牛场干物质含量目标定在日单产2.7公斤，而德系西蒙塔尔和蒙贝利亚牛让人惊异之处在于25%的牛场日单产干物质含量都能超过预期。德系西蒙塔尔是乳肉兼用型牛，但同样也能达到奶牛场的生产效益。图片展示的是8州的一家家庭牛场，位于阿尔卑斯山脉前，他们的遗传物质非常优秀，饲类营养也做到了极致，并且安装了挤奶机器人，日单产奶量超过了40公斤。这样的产量，就连赫斯坦奶牛场也难以达到。这家牛场已获得了国际认可。连智利、墨西哥的行业人士都前来参观访问学习。最后，很荣幸在这里能给大家做此报告，讲解有关德系西南卡尔的特性，希望大家能够有所收获。感谢大家的聆听，再见。
好，刚才门特先生介绍了这个德国著名的乳肉兼用牛。
Just now, Mr. Mentschel gave us a brief introduction of German Simmental cattle and the traits of such breed. Now let's turn to our next speaker, who will brief us on the status and development strategies for the development of dual-purpose cattle in China. Let's give the floor to Ms. Wang Yachun, the professor from China Agricultural University. Professor Wang Yachun is a scientist in the China Dairy Cattle Research and Application System. Let's welcome. Distinguished guests, colleagues, good afternoon. I'm happy to be here to give this presentation. Actually, the topic of my presentation is quite a big one, so I would like to brief you on the dual-purpose cattle, which is my major focus of the presentation. I would like to first of all introduce the features of China's dual-purpose cattle. First of all, dual-purpose cattle is mainly distributed in the north part of China. There are several typical breeds. They are Xinjiang brown cattle, Shuxuan cattle, Sanhe cattle, and the Chinese Simmental cattle. The last one, which is the Chinese Simmental cattle, is widely distributed in China. You can look at this picture to see the distribution of the above for dual-purpose cattle. Starting from 2005, China started to import typical breeds of other countries to China. After crossbreeding technologies, several new types of dual-purpose cattle are successfully bred. They have strong stress resistance, and they can eat coarse feeds, and they are adapted well to various agricultural regions and pastoral regions in China. and their milk productivity and meat productivity are at a good level. Therefore, it is fair to say that dual-purpose cattle is of significant importance for the milk and beef supply in China. So, how important the dual-purpose cattle is for China? I would like to share some of the remarks of one of my colleagues. According to his remarks, that the breeding of new types of dual-purpose cattle is of great significance for China to ensure its revitalization of the seed industry. And it is also a big event for China to transform and upgrade its livestock industry. What's more, it is also important for us to develop dual-purpose cattle because it can help us to conserve our resources. It can help protect our environment, and it is also important for China to achieve green growth of the sector. Therefore, it is of strategic and holistic importance for China to develop and breed new types of dual-purpose cattle. Now we can refer to some specific data to prove the significance of dual-purpose cattle in China. You can refer to this chart in this slice. It's about the sales of the frozen cattle semen of the dual-purpose cattle in the past 15 years. In 2022, the frozen semen of dual-purpose cattle accounts for over 1/6 of China's total. Therefore, I believe that the Sino-German Sustainable Livestock Cooperation Project is of great significance for China to develop its dual-purpose cattle industry. It is not easy to calculate the specific numbers of China's breeds of dual-purpose cattle, but for several popular ones, like the Siemens cattle, it is about 1.5 million heads, and the Sanhe cattle is about 710,000. And for the Xinjiang brown cattle, it is about 1.17 million tons. And for the crossbred new type of dual-purpose cattle, it is about over 20,000 heads. And for the Shuxuan cattle, it is about 715,000 heads. It is not easy for us to have specific calculation of those several breeds of dual-purpose cattle. But in the future, we will make the data more specific and accurate. Before 2014, around 5% of the frozen semen of China's dual-purpose cattle.
Such frozen semens of the dual-purpose cattle can actually help accelerate the growth of the industry and the sector. What about the properties and traits of the self-bred dual-purpose cattle in China? As I said earlier, there are several breeds which have their common names. They are Xinjiang brown cattle, Sanhe cattle, and Chinese red steppe cattle. For the three breeds, the milk production was about 2,200 to 3,300 kg. Starting from the 21st century, we successfully bred two varieties. They are Shuxuan cattle and the Sanhe cattle. Their milk production was above 4,000 kg. It is a small number compared with that in Germany. Apart from milk production, their meat production is also ideal. And what's more important is that these two varieties, they can adapt to different types of climates in China. This is a difference compared with the ones in Germany because there are various types of climatic types in China. So if one breed or several breeds can adapt to different types of climates, then it is fair to say that they can be bred in various regions of China. China has achieved a lot in its breeding technology from 2000 to 2015. For Xinjiang brown cattle, Sanhe cattle, and the Chinese Simmental cattle, these three breeds, they can adapt to their environments and without reducing their meat productivity, they can produce more milk. The milk production was about 5,500 to 6,500 kg. It is a big step forward. I would also like to share with you about China's dairy cow sector. For dairy cow production and the dual-purpose cattle production, we need support from the government. Like for the dairy cow sector, the Chinese government launched a National Dairy Cow Genetic Improvement Plan for 2021 to 2035. From 2008 to 2022, the milk production increased by 3 tons without changes to the milk fat and milk protein. So, how did we achieve such a progress? Under the guidance of the Chinese Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Affairs, the Chinese Dairy Cattle Association launched the National Dairy Cow Genetic Improvement Plan. Under the guidance of this plan, we made such progress, and we have also introduced the measures for future development. With the support of these guidelines, we will indeed achieve better progress in the future. So, Let's move on to the milk productivity and the benefits of the development of dual-purpose cattle. It is fundamental that the dual-purpose cattle can produce both meat and milk. I personally have been to Germany and France. I visited several farms there, which bred the dual-purpose cattle. Actually, 70% to 90% of the profits come from milk production. Apart from milk production, some of the female cattle and the bull calf and the breeding bulls will be used for meat production. According to our field trip in China, we found that the profits of the breeding of dual-purpose cattle is also mainly from milk production, just like the situation in developed countries like Germany and France. Since we launched the Sino-German Sustainable Livestock Cooperation Project, we introduced some superior genetic resources from other countries, which helped us to improve the productivity of China's dual-purpose cattle. For some parts in the world, some of the dual-purpose cattle are only used for milk production, which, in my opinion, is a great loss. It is true that dual-purpose cattle is the main source of beef for the Chinese market, but if we use it only for milk for beef production, it will be a great loss. Therefore, if we can produce profits from both milk production and meat production, it will be a bonus. For profits to be generated, we need support from the industry. And the breeding farms, they should also make their own efforts. I would like to take one example from India. In India's cattle breeding, it mainly breeds 1 to 3 water buffalo, which forms its own household farming of the cattle. I believe it is also a good future approach for the herdlers to raise the cattle for their own consumption. I have visited several breeding and processing factories of dual-purpose cattle in other countries. They milk the cattle for their own consumption, and they will also process their milk products for marketing. China has self-bred breeds of dual-purpose cattle, and some of the breeds are mainly distributed in specific regions of China.
Many of the crossbred female cattle are the local yellow cattle. Their milk and meat productivity is not as ideal as we think. So a majority of the breeders use them as mainly for meat production. Particularly, they didn't fully leverage their potential for milk production. Some of the breeds of other countries, like the Montbéliard and German Simmental cattle, they are bred with the dairy cattle, and the crossbred breeds are distributed in some large-scale farms of China, like in Inner Mongolia, Xinjiang, Liaoning, Tianjin, Hebei, Gansu, and Shandong province. We find that these cattle, they can eat coarse feeds and they are strongly resistant to diseases. And they have advantages in resisting natural risks and market risks. Their per capita yield is about 8 to 10 tons of milk, and their milk fat ratio and milk protein ratio remain relatively stable without major changes. The daily weight gain of the bulls can reach 1.3 kg, and their meat is widely popular among the Western restaurants. It is fair to say that the profits are guaranteed in terms of both milk production and meat production. But still, we are confronted with challenges in terms of sustainability. In developed countries, a sound breeding system has been developed as they have sound associations and they have comprehensive trades for both milk and meat production. And the percentage of registered cattle herds is high, with a large number. For example, the total number of registered cattle in France and Germany are both above several 100,000 heads. If we can apply new advanced technologies to the breeding of the dual-purpose cattle, for example, the geno technology, much progress will be achieved if we can combine both traditional and modern breeding technologies. And those companies in this sector have also done a lot to promote the application of these technologies. So for such sector to achieve greater progress and profits,
it is important for several related stakeholders and industries to work together. The value of dual-purpose cattle is widely recognized in many countries, like in Germany and France. I did a comparison of the already bred breeds and the newly cultivated breeds.
与种业相关的，我们就是已有很好的基础的部分，那然后有基础但是比较薄弱的部分。
Some of the breeds, they enjoy a solid foundation in terms of both the breeding system and technology support, while for some newly bred varieties, they still lack a solid foundation and a comprehensive breeding system. We have thorny difficulties, but we also enjoy great potential. From 2021, China has formed a guideline for the development of dual-purpose cattle, and our goal in this regard is to foster and formulate relevant standards and technical regulations for the breeding technology system of dual-purpose cattle. And it is also important that we collect the data and share the data with relevant stakeholders. We would like to lay a solid foundation for the effective management of the dual-purpose cattle so that it can advance the sustainable growth of the seed industry and the dual-purpose cattle industry. Apart from our goals, so what specific measures have we taken? From 2021 to 2023, we did a survey of the livestock genetic resources, including the dual-purpose cattle. For example, the Xinjiang brown cattle, Sanhe cattle, Shuxuan cattle, and the Simmental cattle. We did a survey to accumulate the data about their productivities, their traits.
兼用本地的兼用牛的联合选育上面投入支持，那包括很多基础性工作，那我们也即将呢把他们的这个工作转化成为行业服务的育种评估技术，那计划在今年推出第一册新疆褐牛的遗传评估报告，应该是在
And this year we will draft a report of the joint breeding of Xinjiang brown cattle. China has achieved much progress in the identification of the shape of dual-purpose cattle. Just now, our previous speaker showed us the different traits of the shapes of the milk cattle, the beef cattle, and the dual-purpose cattle. We also dedicated to the research of the genetic defects. I still want to share once again of my colleague, which is about the significance of the breeding of the dual-purpose cattle. We hope that what we have done and our plan in the future will lay a solid foundation for the dual-purpose cattle industry. From my perspective, our goal is to achieve green, low carbon growth of the sector. Milk and beef is a daily necessity of our people in agricultural and pastoral regions. So what are we going to do is to ensure that we can provide premium milk and meat with an affordable market price. We also need to do more in implementing the genetic improvement plan, including the DHI testing and the evaluation of their genetic resources. We will also aim to launch more projects and programs on the key technologies of the breeding of new varieties and breeds of dual-purpose cattle. It is also important that we foster civil societies and organizations so that we can fully leverage their comparative advantages to advance the growth of our sector. So the above is my idea that I shared with you about the growth of dual-purpose cattle. This is a QR code of our dual-purpose cattle breeding alliance. If you are interested, you can scan the QR code and contact us. Thank you. This is a rare opportunity to invite Professor Wang to give us this presentation. Professor Wang has a very busy schedule, so this is a rare opportunity. If you have any questions, you can raise your hands and ask our Professor Wang. Good afternoon, Professor Wang. We have a good knowledge of the Holstein cattle, but not the case for the Simmental cattle. We face various sources of risks from the breeding farm, and I wonder whether there are standards for the breeding during the lactating stage, particularly for the lactating stage. I want to know more about the breeding of the cattle from the birth of the calf to the lactating stage. Actually, we launched programs in this regard, but due to the pandemic, our progress has been suspended. It is understandable that we may want some references. I asked my German colleagues. Their response was that there were no existing and established standards. So the answer is no. But it is understandable that we Chinese stakeholders want some specific standards. I will refer to my colleagues who are devoted to this part, and if he or she has something
can share with me, I will update to you. Thank you.
谢谢王老师，那您请就坐。那个萨诺公司的门策博士现在已经上线了。那么萨诺
Mr. Mischok
动物营养的公司，也就是说
is online and he will be our next speaker.
可能对动物营养、对弗莱维赫营养
Mr. Mischok
那么刚才呢，这个张总提的问题
is engaged in nutrition specifically.
更合适。
So maybe he will know more about this.
那我不知道我们这个会议支持现在能不能放到那个门策博士的这个
画面可以。好，门策博士您好。
Hello, Professor Mr. Mentschel.
可持续发展论坛。
You're welcome to this session. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Good morning, hello, or good afternoon.
因为会议制作的视频我们已经播放完毕了，那么我们的代表对弗莱维赫的营养问题还有一些疑问。那么
The audience would like to raise several questions regarding the traits of the German Simmental cattle.
你好，
Good afternoon.
我们现在那个正在养殖那个，我们正在养殖那个叫啥？合资产奶牛。
The farm is breeding the Holstein cattle. I know a lot about this breed.
弗莱维赫呢，跟合资产的特性有一定的差异。
There are some differences compared between the German Simmentals and Holstein cattle.
主要是营养各个阶段的营养问题。
We face a lot of problems in terms of the nutrition of the cattle
然后到泌乳，
from their birth to the lactation.
相这个细致一点的标准。
So we wonder whether there are specific standards for the nutrition provided for the Holstein cattle or the German Simmental cattle. Standards for the nutrition.
Hallo Püppi, ich habe mich vertan eben und aus Versehen auf den Knopf gedrückt. Jo.
Yeah.
Okay, gut, tschüssi.
Is someone else in the line? No, I think it's okay. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
可以听到。
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, thank you. So the question was if there are special challenges or schemes for Holstein or for Sano. In general, no. We both aim for both breeds to feed a very high digestible diet. So high digestible not only in starch, also in NDF. And if we follow this, we can achieve with both breeds very good results. The main difference is not the nutrition. The main difference is how the animals are converting the feedstuff into milk. And here, obviously, the Holstein is converting more nutrients into milk, losing also more body condition scoring. Whereas the Simmental losing so much on body substance during lactation, that's also a reason because the Simmental is more stable. So in general, we aim both arch values which are not higher than 25%. We're aiming a drop of 15.5, 16%. And also what is very important, we aim for a very leak in lactation. We have 200 more or less. And if you follow these rules, you reach the same ration, feed ration, result. Could I answer this question?
这样，我们
请翻译啊，做一个交传，他讲一段，你翻译一段，可以吗？
现场那个声音听得，
因为这个我们实在听不清楚，在这个中文的频道里面。Dr. Mentschel, will you please repeat your answer once again? You can speak for some sentences, then give us pause, stop, and let the interpreter to translate your words.
Okay. In principle, it's about nutrition, the different between Hongtian and
Yep.
in both diets, we are aiming for a starch content of about 25%, non-fiber carbohydrate content of about 40%, also very high NDF stability. NDF must be very digestible. In addition, we have in both ratios value. And doing so, we achieve in both very good results. In the oils, about 2,000 liters higher. That's a pure genetic reason behind, not nutrition reason behind. So this I wanted to also aim at presentation for Holstein, due to the high milk yield, we need to have a perfect nutrition. Holstein is not making any compromise. If the nutrition is not good enough, the Holstein is in too much weight. And we have also the metabolic diseases. Whereas in
I'm sorry. We'll speak in German. And we have two gentlemen to translate the German to Chinese.
Okay, so
Also, Jochen, bitte, erst auf Deutsch. Ich kann für dich wieder übersetzen.
Okay.
Ja, die Frage zu beantworten. Also das wahltechnisch und akustisch ist das nicht so ganz klar. Versuche das ein bisschen so klar wie möglich zu reden. Ne?
Ja, also im Prinzip keinen Unterschied bei der Ernährung zwischen Holstein und Simmental. Immer wenn wir eine Ration machen, machen wir Rationen mit circa 25% Stärke, um die 40% NFC, also Carbohydrate Components und ein Gehalt von 16%.
Okay.
Der Unterschied.
Jochen, erstmal首先说啊，这个其实在营养方面啊有一些个区别，但是区别的这个很大的区别，咱不能说是准确的说有太大的区别。 只是说呢，在某一个环节、某一个生产环节或者养殖环节当中啊，会出现咱有特殊需要的处理途径。Okay, bitte.
Wenn ich natürlich ein Holstein-Tier habe, ist die Verdaulichkeit noch wichtiger, weil Holstein ja auch mehr Milch produziert. Und wenn ich mehr Milch produziere, brauche ich auch mehr Energie. Habe ich eine Situation mit einer geringen Verdaulichkeit, dann habe ich bei Holstein auch gesundheitliche Probleme, Stoffwechselerkrankungen.
Okay, alles klar. 赫斯坦和西门塔尔品系这个品种啊，特性有一定区别。也就是说，赫斯坦牛本身它在能量转化的过程当中需要消耗更多的蛋白，需要在养殖的过程当中会产生更多的这个新陈代谢问题。但是西门塔尔牛呢，相对来说比较稳定，生长体区的生长和对蛋白的存储相对稳定，对健康要求或者养殖条件的要求不像赫斯坦那么高。Ja, bitte.
Wenn ich jetzt natürlich
Ja, weiter bitte.
Eine Ration, die nicht optimal ist, dann ist es natürlich für Simmental-Rind leichter, einfach weniger Milch doch Weg auch gesünder. Als beim Simmental-Rind kann ich auch Kompromisse machen mit der Ration.
在泌乳期期间啊，这个赫斯坦牛，比如说泌乳初期，它的赫斯坦牛的生长体区或者说它的体重会降低的急剧下降，这会造成一定的什么困难呢？就是本身还是提到了新陈代谢问题。这西门塔尔牛呢，在泌乳期间的它本身体区的生长条件呀，或者它适应和抗病性更强。所以说呢，对咱养殖来说，西门塔尔牛相比赫斯坦牛要更容易管理，更容易养殖。Ja.
Das heißt, bei nicht gut verdaulicher Rohwasser ist natürlich Simmental die bessere Option. Die Beispiele, die ich bei mehr als 40 auch bei Simmental, da brauche ich natürlich das gleiche Management, die gleiche Qualität von Futter und die gleiche Ration, wie ich auch beim Holstein habe.
如果同样说咱比喻日单产自公斤的话，这个赫斯坦牛和德西西门塔尔牛的区别在哪呢？就是在饲料转化率方面，这个西门塔尔的饲料转化率更稳定、更高一些，效果会更好。也就是说，在饲养管理上，西门塔尔牛比赫斯坦牛相对来说呀，更容易管理，没那么复杂，条件要求没那么高。Ja.
Das ist ein Simmental, wenn der andere Vorteil ist natürlich, dass ich bei Simmental, wenn ich über spreche, von den männlichen Tieren, ich habe es auch gezeigt im Vortrag, da kann ich durchaus 1,8 Kilo tägliche Zunahmen erreichen. Solche Zunahmen schaffe ich mit Holstein-Bullen nicht.
另外说呢，还是真转过来。另外说呢，这个屠宰，如果说是咱说是育肥，赫斯坦牛育肥和西门塔尔牛的育肥条件也不一样。德西西门塔尔牛能达到日增重1.8啊，然后但是赫斯坦牛就达不到这么高。Okay, weiter.
Das heißt, wenn Simmental-Bullen mit sehr viel Stärke, auch mit 35% Stärke, dann wachsen die Tiere sehr gut. Vor allem, ich kann jetzt 750 Kilogramm Körpergewicht messen. Das ist ein Riesenvorteil, weil dann habe ich auch Fleisch. Wenn ich bis 57 Kilo gehe, dann setzt Simmental-Tier auch Fleisch an. Wohingegen, wenn ich das Holstein-Tier zu schwer mache, das Tier nur Fett, habe eine bessere Fleischqualität, ich habe höheres Schlachtgewicht, ich habe bessere Fleischqualität und ich habe eine bessere Futterversorgung.
整体来说，咱如果说刚才说到了它的这个屠宰，如果说是屠宰育肥屠宰的话，咱是说到了德西辛梅塔尔的这个育肥屠宰和日增重效果更好。现在说到呢，这个如果说是咱在养殖在同样的饲喂条件下，营养配方条件下，德西辛梅塔尔牛的生长效果，这个饲料转化率会更稳定更高，而且呢，在整体的养殖过程当中所遇到的你所遇到的可能牛本身产生的健康问题会少得很。也就是说呢，同样的养殖条件下，德西辛梅塔尔牛的生产效果和管理要求都没那么高，生产效果更好。Okay, ist noch weiter? Also ich weiß, dass du noch tagelang noch weiter reden kannst. Also können wir hier vielleicht die Moderatoren fragen, ob die Frage jetzt schon beantwortet wurde, ob das jetzt fortgesetzt werden sollte. Ne? Ja, ne? Also,
好，谢谢。
vielen Dank. Ja.
我们张总还有问题吗？好，
来这儿给查一个，我把我说话听不明白。
说
就是说，咱们在这个咱们这个西梅塔尔，然后在饲养过程中，这个精粗比它是咋来控制这个事啊？就是说，你看我们养就是这个荷斯坦，它的精料给多了没问题，但是我们在这个实际在养殖弗莱菲克过程中呢，这个精料给多了，这个弗莱菲克会出现一定的问题，是不是？就是精粗比是不是要比荷斯坦相对来说精料要少一点，粗料反而要多一点
？OK，
有这个意思。
OK， 没问题。Ja, es liegt hier sozusagen Anteilaufteilung von Kruppfutter und Kraftfutter bei Rindenteil und Bestand. Also der Herr Jan hatte Erfahrungen mit Holstein, soll das jetzt mehr Kraftfutter angesetzt werden oder gefüttert werden. Aber für Flappy hat er so ausprobiert, aber das offenbar merkt er, dass es nicht so geht. Und fragt er, wie viel Anteil von Kraftfutter und auch Gutfutter für Flappy besser geregelt werden kann.
Spitzenbetriebe hier in Bayern, die haben eine Futteraufnahme insgesamt von 26, 27 Kilogramm Trockensubstanz, also die Gesamtfutteraufnahme. Und von diesen 26, 27 Kilogramm sind...
Das ist so Trockensubstanz, ne?
Ja, Trockensubstanz.
Okay.
Und von diesen 26 Trockensubstanz sind 12,5
Kilogramm oder Gramm.
Also eine Kuh.
12,8 Kilo 12,8 Kilo Kraftfutter.
Ja.
Okay. 有一定的区别，在巴伐利亚州，他们养殖弗莱维克牛的时候呢，是有一些个整体的经验。第一，干物质采食量能达到26到27公斤，其中这个总的饲料储备量当中含有精饲料12.8公斤，就是有一定区别。OK， 有。Okay.
Sind ungefähr 3 Kilogramm oder 4 Kilogramm auch Proteinträger.
Okay. 说采食26到27公斤的干物质这个饲喂量当中啊，还有2,3 Kilo Protein, ne? 3,3
4 Kilo von diesen 12.
包含 3.4公斤蛋白。就是说呢，他们有他们的养殖经验所总结出了这些个数据，但实际上呢，这是在巴伐利亚州他们普遍总结出来的经验。是否在咱国内需要做调整？不能完全作为标准，但是否可以调整来思维养殖，这是可以咱后续跟德方专家呀和中方专家一起探讨的。王周，
好，谢谢
OK
谢谢门特博士。
对吧？
我也想这个机会您提一个请求，能不能把这个三位公司对于弗莱维牛的营养需要量
And I would like to have a request. And could you provide
Programm. Wie viele Länder, was für Länder und was für Anteil von Komponenten und weiterleiten kann. Ist das möglich?
Kannst du bitte wiederholen? Ich war gerade eine ganz schlechte Verbindung. Zum Schluss ging.
Okay.
好，
他没听清啊，希望我再重复一遍。Also die Frage ist, ob Sano so ein Fütterungsprogramm oder mit Mengen, mit Anteil, Komponenten und so weiter als zur Referenz an die chinesische Seite weiterleiten kann. Ob das möglich ist.
Ja, das kann ich gerne machen. Ich kann sogar jetzt auch teilen. Ich habe auch eine Ration offen, dann kann ich die auch kurz mal teilen, was die Tiere fressen.
Okay. 没问题，而且还甚至可以给咱把他们的养殖里其中获得的一些个整理出来的数据提供给咱。
好，再一次感谢恩策先生线上参加我们的会议。
Vielen Dank, Jörg.
Soll ich teilen?
Nee, jetzt nicht. Also jetzt gerade in der Veranstaltung und zuerst mal nachher. Und das wäre nicht verkehrt. Ja, erstmal nachher. Vielen Dank jetzt.
好。那我们这个牛的议题就告一个段落，下面我们的两个报告是关于生猪的。
So that's all about the cattle, and the next two presentations are about pigs. First, let's have the presentation from Dr. Mischok from the official veterinarian of Veterinary Office of Oldenburg. He will brief us on strategies for success of a modern soil farm. And now let's have the pre-recorded video from Dr. Mischok. Dear participants, dear colleagues, thank you very much for inviting me to attend today's technical exchange. Now I would like to introduce to you the experience and suggestions on the health strategies in soil management and piglet production. In Germany, people often say you can see many signals from the pig farm. And the following are some visual signs of the defects in the soils. Secretions from the vola, prolonged interval between weaning and mating, regression, timing or irregularity, abortion, low data size, dead or weak litter. All of these symptoms may indicate serious problems in the soil population and requires analysis. As a non-infectious cause of health problems, we should always think of the flies and enclosure overcrowding. The former leads to rapid spread of germs, and the latter may lead to bites and stunting. Soils must not be too fat. Upseed soils tend to have dyscalculia, less litter, diarrhea, and more underlying problems. The best pigsty preparation is the best basis for piglet health. The stalls shall be thoroughly cleaned and disinfected. including the source of water and water dispenser. Please have regular MMA examination after delivery. That is to touch the breast to check for indentation or temperature increase. In addition, take the source temperature regularly and watch out for secretations, which may be a sign of endometriosis. In this case, antibiotics should be treated properly and last long enough. The lactation behavior of source plays a decisive role in the development and quiet lying of piglets. Source lying on their stomach is a suspicious signal because bread feeding obviously gives it pain. And the diarrhea is also a warning sign. Immediate action to treat sores and piglets. We should often check the lying position of piglets. As we can see in figure 1 and 2, the piglets lie together while in figures 3 to 5, it is vice versa. The high water demand of sows is often underestimated, and suckling sows need about 15 liters of water, and each lactation piglets need another 1.5 liters of water. Please check the flow of the water dispenser regularly. In addition, drinking too little water can also lead to suppurative urinary tract infection. In Germany, water quality is assessed based on iron, pH, and microbial contamination. There are also requirements for drinking water quality. Every 100 milliliter of water must be free of pathogens. And if the pH is below 6 or above 7, it cannot be used as drinking water. Another big pig problem may be the different organisms consumed with the feed. And this will adversely affect the hormone balance, weakening the immune system and destroying the tissue. This table shows the microbial content limits of fungi. If you find any of this problem, you can check the feed ingredients and replace the risky feed. The vomiting oxygen in the feed up to 0.1 microgram per kilogram can still be successfully accepted by pigs. For example, the acceptable value for poultry is much higher. For water, we should also pay attention to the magnesium value, because too high magnesium value will lead to water rejection. Good insemination management can basically achieve the insemination of less rejuvenation and more piglets. And the impact of semen on the success rate of fertilization is only between 5 to 7%. A major problem facing European piglet producers is the problem of ill piglets, mainly characterized by the meningitis and arthritis, leading to significant losses. In addition to inadequate cleaning and disinfection, overcrowding, skin damage, unclean castration, and broken tails are also the main reasons. It turns out that the cleaning of the piglets is effective, and we also conduct specific enclosure vaccination during bacteria obtained from diseased piglets. Diarrhea is a common problem in piglet production, some caused by virus, some by bacteria, and in some cases may also be caused by intestinal pesticides. In case of coccidial infection, a disinfectant that simultaneously kills the eggs must be selected, or the problem will remain permanent. The range of infectious reproductive disorder is very wide. They may be caused by viruses or bacteria. Source deliver permanently, meaning shedding the embryo during pregnancy. By the way, this follows an ancient evolutionary principle. According to the health of soil is most important to the herd, and all foreign things, in case unborn piglets are expelled. Not only in Europe, but also in China, blue ear disease is also a major problem in piglet farms, especially in the highly pathogenic virus. And the virus will weaken the body. And the virus is the blue virus will weaken the body's own defense against bacteria. So to avoid mixed infection, we must treat this bacterial disease as with optimal vaccination systems. After infection, reproduction problems will occur at all stages of pregnancy, especially in abortion and return in the goats that are not protected by the best vaccine. Blue ear disease occurs more often at the end of pregnancy. In piglets and finishing pigs, there are significant respiratory diseases. I'm often asked that whether the blue ear vaccine can be replaced by others. The answer is absolutely no, because there is synergy between the blue ear disease, swine flu, and other kind of virus, but vaccination for the latter does not produce any cross protection. The question that has been raised repeatedly is whether blue ear virus infection can have lasting immunity, and the answer to this question is also no, because there will be no herd infection and there will be no complete infection in the tract. Therefore, a good vaccination system must be implemented in any case. Now, let's have a look at the plan for the soil herd. Also include vaccination. In any case, it is often said so in any case, we should provide vaccine for the and vaccination program associated with the breeding farms are very important because vaccination prevents disease with high economic losses. And diseases due to the lack of vaccination will lead to heavy losses. We should not underestimate the problem of leptospira disease in sow farms. These diseases are accompanied by fever, miscarriage, and stillbirth, and the pathogen is excreted in the urine and spreading rapidly, especially in large group farms. A weak link often found in soil management is the poor integration of goats, which may be the significant risk factor for biosafety. Therefore, immune preparation for goats is necessary because animals with different immune status are intermixed with outsourced goats and older herds. Goats may bring new unknown bacteria into the target pigs, or goats to receive many pathogens do not understand, so must in quarantine phase early, even before the goats, for long enough preparation, immune, and contact with target farm germs, such as feces or fatal contact, because susceptible animals, whether goats or post-ponzols, will amplify reaction to new unknown bacteria. Therefore, vaccination programs associated with breeding farms are very important because vaccination can prevent disease with high economic losses. And vaccine is always cost-saving rather than permanent treatment. But also remember that vaccination does not always prevent infection, but it significantly reduces the damage caused by infection. What vaccines should be given in backup and postpartum source? In any case, goats must be vaccinated with PR vaccine, and in addition, depending on the herd or supply, different diseases and influenza. After the vaccination, we can transit to herd vaccination, including the delivery room vaccination. We're always asked what vaccines goats can take and what vaccines should be vaccinated. The standard vaccine is parvovirus. And the virus, as you can see from the slide. These vaccines are injected depending on the original breeding herd and the target farm. Then, through integration, the transition is made to group vaccination, including the soil protection vaccine. Here, I would like to introduce the vaccination management of soils. It includes the prevention of parvovirus and different kinds of vaccines. And the vaccines I'm introducing are also on the slide. Vaccination management of piglets includes standard vaccination. In Europe, it refers to the different vaccines, as you can see on the slide, and I have very good experience in this area. Even if piglets of different sources must be put together in large numbers. In addition, according to the need or the problem situation, piglets should be vaccinated with other kind of vaccines as well. In the case of the births and stillbirths, or the birth of a large number of weak piglets, we must always consider the suspicion of animal disease. The most important of these is pseudo-rabies. Unlike other litter disease, all fetus often die at the same time. And this was once a big problem in Germany, but it has been eliminated over the years through vaccination and hygiene measures. Finally, I want to talk about the swine fever. The mortality rate of traditional swine fever is very high and very staggering. As shown, you can see a bleeding skin, blue-colored ears, clay kidneys with blood spots, and intestinal ulcers. In contrast, virus second, pig drastic diseases are also showing such symptoms. ASF is a larger problem, and it still remains. Vaccination programs have had little success. vaccinated animals have not developed adequate immunity, the ASF infection dynamics are not spreading fastly. This means that there may be both diseased and fully healthy pigs in the herd. But ASF is always fatal. Healthy pigs can remain infected on the crops of dead pigs for a long time. Therefore, in the case of wild boar infected with ASF, it is necessary to go thoroughly search for the bodies and dead bodies in the forest. AFS showed different symptoms, as you can see from the picture. And this is the end of my speech. And I wish you all the success in your work and good health. Thank you for your attention once again. Thank you very much for your video.
My pleasure.
And now we also ask questions from the audience. I come from a pig farming company. During pig farming, we also meet a problem of diarrhea. We have a very high mortality rate and do not have immunity. And we want to ask, do you have some good measures to control this?
May I start? Ja. Ja.
Und also, du kannst jetzt auf Deutsch reden, ich übersetze das für dich. Ne? Oder
Ja.
hast du die Frage schon verstanden oder nicht?
Also ich habe die Frage so verstanden, ein Betrieb hat große Probleme mit Saugferkeldurchfällen und gleichzeitig mit hohen Verlusten. Die Frage ist, was kann er tun? Habe ich das richtig verstanden?
So ist das. Bitte schön.
Ja, also als ersten Punkt halte ich es sehr wichtig, eine gründliche, gute Diagnostik zu machen. Um was für Erreger handelt es sich? Ist es ein viraler Erreger? Handelt es sich um bakterielle Erreger wie hochpathogene Colis, Clostridien, etc.? Und dann besteht eben die Möglichkeit, über mehrere Dinge auf eine Minimierung dieser Erkrankung einzuwirken. Das erste ist gute Reinigung und Desinfektion der Anlagen, der Bereiche der Ställe, in die die Ferkel eingestallt werden. Die zweite Frage, die zweite wichtige Sache ist, dass man hingeht und die Muttersau hoch immunisiert gegen die diagnostizierte Erkrankung der Ferkel. Denn eine Weitergabe der Immunstoffe über die Milch der Muttersau ist eine ganz wichtige Angelegenheit. Dazu muss die Sau gesund sein, dazu muss sie ausreichend Milch geben, dazu muss die Gesäuge gesund sein und die Ferkel kräftig genug, dass sie schnell und ausreichend Dienstmilch am Gesäuge der Sau.
Dieter, hörst du mich?
Bitte?
Hörst du mich?
Ja, ich höre dich.
Okay, also das war schon sozusagen ohne Ton. Also du musst mich nicht, ich konnte dich nicht unterbrechen, weil das, was du gerade aufgeführt hast, ist schon ein bisschen zu lang für einen Übersetzer, für einen Dolmetscher. Aber ich versuche das jetzt so rüberzubringen. Ne? Also 首先刚才啊技术问题，刚才有一部分教授没听见，需要打断刚才慢点说的东西。现在呢，我尽最大的可能先解答你的问题。如果说有没有解答清楚的，再让博士再重复一下啊。首先呢，是一个如果遇到了，不管是你遇到了什么的健康问题啊，咱先做一个整体的这个有关，比如说咱说到仔猪腹泻的问题，咱先做检测。检测什么检测呢？就是预判。 就跟咱去医院先确诊这事儿，然后呢再做一些深一步的，下一步呢要做什么呢？就是你要看它是病毒性的还是致病菌性的，涉及到哪些病毒，涉及到哪些致病菌。如果是针对的是紫竹腹泻，涉及到有一些个球虫、链球菌、大肠杆菌等等，这都可能是造成这个紫竹腹泻的原因或者因素。再往下一步呢，如果确诊之后针对紫猪，那肯定是要做一些个处理，但是呢，要进一步走，还要处理母猪在产前，要在针对母猪也做采取一些个措施，在针对母猪同样要做一些个首先检测，再去做相应调配，采取有效措施的一些方式，需要有这么一个周期。当然不是短时间咱就可以直接说就必须用这个办法一定有用，而说呢需要通过一定的周期确诊之后采取一定的措施，直接最有效的方式。现在在每一个厂的情况不一样，针对不同的厂，因为什么原因造成的，去有针对性去做一些处理。不是，我觉得我的问题应该是比较针对性的哈，就是针对卵状病毒腹泻、紫竹卵状病毒腹泻，别的腹泻都可以搞定，PD我们好多年都没发生过 PD 了啊，就是卵状病毒腹泻目前还存在问题，但不会导致死亡率，但是会导致断奶重减小。对，紫竹卵状病毒腹泻，因为它现在我看写的一个消头液，是不是那个 memo 这个消头液就可以解决这个问题吗？还是需要免疫，还是需要反思，还是需要怎么做？Also die Frage, er hatte, Herr Jung hatte das ein bisschen näher erklärt. Er betrifft dann das Virus PCV, also was zum Verkehrstodesfall führt. Und er fragt, ob das möglich ist, wie man gegen PCV machen kann, um die Durchfall zu beseitigen. Und du hast vorhin erwähnt in deiner PPT, dass mehrere Produkte als Tierwaschmittel und Desinfektionsmittel dagegen gut helfen können. Und ob das wirklich so hilft und ob man zum Beispiel bei der Hydro noch was angreifen sollte und auch was anderes. Fallen dir noch manchen Maßnahmen ein?
Also, ich habe die Frage soweit verstanden, Shilong. Dankeschön. Und es geht um PCV2. Was kann man tun, um optimalen Schutz in den Beständen zu gewährleisten? Ist das richtig?
Und dazu noch Mittel als Mittel noch dagegen helfen können.
Ja. Wir müssen eins zu Anfang bedenken, PCV2 ist eine Viruserkrankung, gegen die antibiotische Präparate nicht wirken.
Ja. 首先一点呢，就是咱涉及的流行病毒，这个用抗生素基本解决不了。
Der beste Schutz ist eine gute, wirksame Impfung der Produktionssauen, beginnend bei den Zuchtläufern, wie ich es auch in meiner Präsentation dargestellt habe.
下一步考虑的是什么呢？针对母猪以及这个后备，咱要留种的后备母猪，要做些个处理，要做免疫处理。
Wichtig ist, dass das Impfregime so abgestimmt ist, dass ich auch die Umbuschersauen mit erfasse. Aus diesem Grunde halte ich eine Bestandsimpfung für den richtigsten Weg.
Dieter, hörst du mich gerade?
Ja.
Wiederholen?
Bitte?
Kannst du das bitte wiederholen? Was du gerade
wiederholen? Ja. Der beste Schutz ist eine gute Immunität der Muttersauen, die ich am besten erreiche durch eine Bestandsimpfung, regelmäßig und zeitlich nicht zu lang verzögert.
Okay. 还有就是整群针对母猪整群进行免疫，同时要提高这个目标之一，就是要提高母猪本身的这个它整体的免疫效果、免疫力，提高它的健康度。Ja, bitte.
Wichtig ist, dass aus diesem Grunde, damit ich die Umrauschersauen nicht vergesse. Das passiert in Betrieben häufiger, dass bei reproduktionsorientierten Impfungen die Umrauschersauen vergessen werden und dann haben wir Impflöcher in unserem Bestand.
另外啊，有一些个在厂子里边经常会忽略的是什么呢？就是这个反禽母猪。反禽母猪出现这种造成的这个健康问题，以及导致后续整个生产受到影响的情况，会出现的几率会比较高。
Danach sollte sich anschließen eine Impfung der Verkaufsferkel gegen beispielsweise Ende des Flattex, also etwa 14 Tage bis 10 Tage vor dem Verkauf. Nicht zum Zeitpunkt des Ausstallens, dann ist der Stress zu groß.
就是分娩前母猪要避免母猪受到更多的压力。在这种情况下，采取一定措施，就是说对母猪也做一些个要做一些个采取措施处理母猪，避免仔猪后续出现腹泻的情况。你这完怎么呢？我估计这个问题，如果让专家按照这个方向以这种技术做调样来解释的话，解释不到的。咱还不如咱记下来，让专家统一给咱书面答复。Also diese technischen Leute das gerade nicht so optimal. Das heißt, das Publikum kann zum Beispiel nachher Fragenliste erstellen oder damit dann an dich zum Beispiel weiterleiten und die du dann beantworten oder aufführen könntest. Und dann kriegen wir das Publikum die Fragen besser beantwortet. Ne? Wäre das eine Idee für dich?
Ja, Schilung, das mache ich sehr gerne. Wenn du die Liste dann an mich weitergibst, werde ich sie kurzfristig beantworten und du kannst sie dann an die entsprechenden Interessenten weiterleiten.
Alles klar, okay.
Sehr gerne. Sehr gerne.
好，谢谢米克博士。今天的班次我们就讨论到这儿。如果有后续的问题，我们可以通过公社的微信群，大家进行进一步的交流。
Kommunikationsmöglichkeit oder Wege, womit wir die Fragen beantwortet bekommen können. Ne? Das kriegen wir nachher noch hin. Vielen Dank nochmal bitte für deine Zuarbeit oder Mitarbeit. Dankeschön.
Sehr gerne. Sehr gerne, immer wieder gerne.
Thank you.
很愿意继续干。OK， ciao. Dankeschön.
Dankeschön.
好，那么。
So according to our schedule, let's come to our next presentation. Let's welcome Professor Wang Aiguo, a famous expert in pig breeding. After he retired from university, he is still very active in the pig breeding system and he provides support and offer his wisdom to the construction of our country's pig breeding systems. Now let's give the floor to Professor Wang. Thank you very much. I'm very happy to have the opportunity to have exchange with you. This topic is very grand, and I have some insights in some of the content. And I think there is a difference between different breeding systems. I have 3 topics to talk about. First is pig breeding system and imports of breeding stock. Second is localized and independent selection and breeding of introduced breeds. And third, accelerating the high-quality development of the pig breeding industry. And Anhui province is a major contributor to China's breeding industry. And pig industry also needs very advanced technology. And the hybrid system is very different from dairy cattle. Internationally, there are three kinds of breeding system. The first is national breeding system. And Denmark is an example. But now it has been split into two organizations. The second system is joint breeding system. The NSR in the United States and CSI of Canada are two typical examples of this kind. The third kind of breeding system is specialized breeding system by companies. And time limited, you can refer to the company names on the slide. So countries like UK, France, and Denmark also have many. These are the countries that China imports breeding stock from. And here we want to figure out why advanced countries have strengths in pig breeding. And I think that Denmark is the country that have very strong breeding strengths. And Denmark have a very complete system. First is a very sound education system. Second is a very effective win-win cooperation system. Thirdly, complete pig farm consultancy services. Fourth, their importance attached to scientific research and innovation. And the last one is the persistent, effective breeding. You can see that AHDB, they will issue important data every year. But in 2021, the PSY of Denmark 34 and PCR was 2.858. According to the status. And I think that the highest PSY may reach 35. China imports certain amount of breeding stock from many countries, and we import specific breeds. We import from US, Canada, and France, Denmark, UK, and Ireland. We haven't cooperated with Ireland in this regard now. The mainly breeds are large white, Landrace, and Duroc. A specific number, as you can refer to from the slide, from 1991 to 2000, we imported 16,000 heads of pigs. And from 2001 to 2011, we imported 47,000 heads of pig. And as you can see from the graph on the left, there are some years the imported number of pigs exceeded 10,000. And the highest number occurred in 2020 and 2021. The total number exceeded 53,000 heads of pig. Last year, the imported number was over 4,000, but the number from the general administration of customs was slightly higher. This is because we have issues of tariffs. And so over the past 10 decades, we imported 11.6 thousand heads of pig as our breeding pigs. And these are the total amount. And here are the companies which are famous in terms of breeding industry. We have transnationals as well. The GSR company of UK are the major import source of our country. In China, pork is the major protein source of our people. And China also have limited lands and a huge population. And we import mainly 6 breeds. Over the past 2 years, we have 139 kinds of journalism resources of breeding pig. And to meet the demands of the Chinese market, we need to cultivate Liwen pig. But none of these breeding companies are doing this kind of work. And China is also a very big country, so one breed cannot meet the demands of whole China. That's why we have to have independent, localized breeding work. And this is decided by the reality of our country. So we must have self-dependent breeding of pigs. And in fact, the breeding technology research and development, our gap with foreign countries is not very big, but our breeding foundation is relatively weak, and our market mechanism is not sound enough. And the breeding stock performance cannot absolutely adapt to Chinese context. And I graduated from a foreign university. As early as in 1979, we started the evaluation and the breeding work. We have many improvement plans, and we have done a lot of work and have some outcomes through the implementation of the improvement program of pig genetic resources. We can see that the production performance of these pigs have been increased significantly, and we have formed a market-based breeding system with enterprises as the main actor. In 2020, we finished our first plan and our first improvement program, and a new round of improvement program is for 2021 to 2035. The mission of this improvement program is to improve the performance of our breeding pigs and improve its market competitiveness. As we may know, in 2021, we had a plan issued, which is the rejuvenation action plan for the seed and breed industry. We need to achieve self-independence in this regard. And here I would like to list some figures. Since 2010, we have selected core breeding farms, which are 123, and we canceled 19 pig farms. Now we have core pig farms, which the number is 104. We have 166,000 of registered sows in stock, and the sows are large white, landrace, and duroc. So the number of sows registered in stock of the core pig farms did not decrease. These are the figures from National Animal Husbandry Services. And as we can see that the number of large white and landrace and the total litter size of this kind of pigs in the core pig farm increased by 13.43 and 13.22. About the increase, of the weight, you can see that the age at 100 kilogram for large white, long white, and duroc pigs in core farms was shortened to 160.96 days, 158.26 days, and 158.0604 days, respectively. As for the back fat sickness, with the top 10% of core farms having back fat sickness of 8.7 millimeter, and mainly these are the pigs at 100 kilogram. Now we have established a large-scale lean pig germplasm resource bank, and the establishment of this bank is based on the evaluation of 21,000 heads of pigs, including 5 breeds, 15 strains, and 185 bloodlines of source. And the cultivation and application of the commercial line of lean pig, which is very effective, has also been awarded nationally. We innovated the molecular breeding technology and have genetical evaluation and performance management technology, and also the nucleus company. After the selection of breeds, we can see the difference of the traits. We see that the growth, the carcass, and body size traits were significantly improved in all lines, especially with strong selection for back fat thickness and stronger selection for growth and body size. And as we can see, the genetic diversity of the herds decreased and the degree of inbreeding increased. S&P analysis showed that the genomes of the progeny of each line were very different from those of the parents, and the frequency of haplotype genotype related to economic traits also changed. And we can also see the number change in terms of EBV and BV. This is the US Duroc pig. And we can see the number increased no matter what is the indicator. The artificial selection for the height of 365 genetic loci in Duroc pigs, we can see that FST analysis identified a total of 1,800 significant loci. In 2001, the pig was introduced to Beijing, and now we can observe very significant changes in terms of the height, the length, the girth, and the body size. And as for the long white, it has relatively less genetic loci compared with large white. We can also see the different performance of different breeding companies and breeding breeds. The average LSY can reach 2.37 and the average PSY can reach 27.3. Here, this graph shows the performance of different breeding systems of breeding pigs in China. As we can see, the red number is the average total liter number. And we can see the figure of different breeds are different. In these pig farms, we showed in this diagram are from Henan province. And these are the pigs' performance in the performance of breeds introduced from Denmark. We can see the number of T and B exceeded 20 since the second litter. The previous 20%, it cost 140 days or even shorter time for them to reach 100 kilograms. And we also compare the breeds of breeds from different companies. And here I would like to summarize what we have done in terms of the pig breeding industry. First is the scale. The scale of our core farms has been expanded, and the collection of data have been changed and automated by intellectual machines. The breeding structure has now been expanded by the sole core groups and independent or core workstation. The organization structure also changed from single farm to trans farm and supported by the core groups. The philosophy also changed. Now we have GPP plus GP plus PS plus C, which is a pyramid-like breeding system. And for the core farms at a national level, the breeds has been enriched. In the past, we only have landrace, Duroc, and large white. But now we also supplement these breeds with local breeds and our self-cultivated breeds. So we can see the changes are very obvious. Here is a announcement from the General Office of MARA calling for the high standard development of the breeding of pig breeding industry. It shows that we're going to commit it more to the utilization protection of the genetic resources of our local breeds, and we will upgrade and improve the innovation system of the pig industry and try to secure the supply of superior pig breeds. And there are also some measures we can take. We should accelerate the formation of the enterprise group, strengthen the advantages, make up for the shortcomings, and solve the problems. We encourage companies to innovate and to fight against counterfeiting and infringement. Since August last year, the General Office of MARA announced 270 specialized companies in the seed and breeding industry. The seeds and breeds are the very foundation of our agriculture. And from 8,000 breeding companies, 86 breeding companies were selected. And 3 of them is to solve the problem of chickens, and 48 companies were to solve the problems of pigs, cattle, beef cattle, and sheep. As we can see from the slide, the blue words are for imported breeds, and the white words are for the local breeds. 43 companies were included based on their enterprises qualification, epidemic disease purification, total enterprise assets, investment in breeding R&D, innovation capacity, and their core herd inventory. Some of the big companies are not included. And from the company number of each province, we can also see that whether the province attached enough importance to the breeding industry. And in fact, the improvement of the genetic resources of pig have never been stopped. It is always an ongoing process. From gene editing to big data technology to whole genome sequencing, we can see how this process keeps upgrading. And we have progress in pigs every day. This is what I always say. And there is no limitation and no end of progress. So to conclude, we can have a conclusion that introduced breeds cannot be fully adapted to China's national conditions and meet the diversified market demand. Therefore, China's demand for Liwen breeding pigs can only rely on independent selection and breeding. And China strongly supports the development of specialized breeding and joint breeding. It cultivates specialized strains adapted to China's breeding conditions and market brand. We are also trying to establish our own breeding brand. And PSA in China has already issued an improvement plan for the genetic resources of pigs. It has also have cooperation with different provinces. Our final goal is to establish a high-efficient breeding system because China have a large volume of pigs and breeding pigs. So how to make our breeding industry competitive? Quantity is one aspect, but to have special strengths is the most important aspect. Since the outbreak of ASF, the pig industry has been changed fundamentally. Lastly, nationally speaking, we can see that it is imperative to develop high-quality national pig breeding industry. And high quality, it relies on the innovation of our industry, and it have many standards to judge it, such as the output rate, quality rate, and diversity. Only diverse breeds can better adapt to China's conditions, and that's how we can cultivate a competitive pork breeding industry. And now we have 5 pig companies present today. They have close cooperation with Professor Wang. And since you have direct contact with Mr. Wang, then we do not have Q&A for this session. Well, let's thank Professor Wang once again. Now we're going to play the third video by Professor Oldenburg. The video is about circular animal husbandry and manual utilization. He is an expert in the utilization of resources. He also visited and provided on-site instruction to some of the companies present today.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for having me here. Unfortunately, due to the schedule, I couldn't come to meet you. In the late 1980s and early 1990s, I did university research at the Kiel University in northern Germany and basic research on the measurement and assessment of odor and ammonia emissions from animal husbandry. After years of teaching at university in the 1990s, I have been a consultant at my own company for more than 20 years. Each year, we participate in hundreds of projects in Germany for livestock farming, human supply and processing, as well as through biogas, solar, and wind power. Meanwhile, I have been doing consulting work in China since 2016. The aerial photo in the background is a project of Henan Yifa Animal Husbandry Company. I've been involved in it from the very beginning, and now the project is approaching the end. I sincerely wish the company and the project of Mr. Yuan a complete success. The aspects that I would like to share with you include the following: food security, food and feed production, the production of manure and the reduction of the waste, and the analysis and storage of the waste, and the manure treatment. In the past 100 years, the world's population has been extremely dynamic. This is mainly because later Nobel Prize winners Harper and Bose discovered the use of atmospheric nitrogen to produce more and more of food and feed on naturally limited agricultural land. It is not possible to feed all the people in the world without the continued use of synthetic fertilizers. However, this also implies that increasing amounts of nitrogen from ammonia synthesis and phosphate from
native origin are circulating in the system. The nitrogen in biological urea or uric acid is also a valuable substance, but it is often treated as waste in the past. Therefore, it is of great interest to optimize the initially synthesized nitrogen fertilizer in nutrient cycling between plant fertilization, feed production, and recycling of livestock manure. Plant growth and the quality of crops depend on multiple factors. And the lip-stem method is a good example. As early as the 19th century, Justice von Liebig defined the minimum law, which is still the basis of fertilization. The law states that as long as the existence of a growth factor is limited, then the growth of the plants will also face restrictions. Further application of fertilizers in this case will not produce additional yield. Theoretically speaking, fertilization is feasible according to the Liebig law, but it is difficult to record parameters in practice. Therefore, there are no homogenic growth conditions or plant characteristics in practice. For example, plant growth depends on the interactions of factors such as sunlight, temperature, water, and nutrient supply and soil type. After years of decades of accumulated retention with a prolonged excess of rainfall, it may lead to nutrient transfer to groundwater or soil salinization in arid areas. And the cost is also very high compared with other countries. When we use the devices of biogas, we can achieve the measurement, and people realize that the increase of the nutrients in the soil surpass the total number of the manure in the soil. These measures are very effective. And the methods are very complicated in terms of introducing the nutrients into the soil. And the cost is also very high. So manure recycling is very difficult to achieve. And we have several measures to help reduce the manure. Therefore, for per unit of food that we produce, and the total number of waste will decrease. And if the herb health is in a better condition, then the mortality rate will also be low. When discharged from the biogas plant, the sinking or floating layer phenomena rarely occurs.
It is a big challenge to collect the typical mixed samples in the manure storage tank or the fertilizer tank. It is therefore important that we formulate a standard procedure which can be applicable to various stakeholders. For example, we can apply a sensor in the manure tank. As the demand for fertilizers in different growth periods are different, therefore, we must maintain the storage for the crop management. If we cannot apply fertilizers during the growth stage of the plants, then we need to store about 6 months of capacity under the premise of ensuring safety. Compared with Chinese equipment, especially in Europe, the common one is the circular manure storage tanks, which can significantly reduce odor and ammonia emissions. In wet areas, a very large side effect is the discharge of the rainwater and wind resistance. Thus, this will make forming waves on the surface. In front of the picture is the fermentation residual tank, which is formed due to the presence of fiber composition. This reduces emissions, but it also causes rainwater to come in. The manure storage tank can provide a larger volume at a lower cost than the concrete or steel round tanks, but the disadvantage is the inability to use the lid to reduce emissions. When discharged from the biogas plant, the sinking layer phenomenon rarely occurs. If the raw material is introduced, the raw material must be mixed, and with the goal of all raw materials can be fertilized and properly distributed to the field. And there is no residue in the tank to limit the tank volume after many years. There are rainwater here, and the bubbles here may be caused by rising gas underground, but this is not a technical problem. If the bottom is groundwater and the storage tank is empty, the situation becomes more difficult. This may cause the whole black membrane to float up. For concrete manure storage tanks, this can cause damage. During cleaning period, there will be no emission of the ammonia and the other nitrogen gases. Then nitrogen will not be wasted. And auxiliary materials can also be used, such as the tree branches, and the final product can be sold in bags. In this case, the low-dry manure, meta manure in the pig feces will be put daily into a composite bed consisting of grain or core stover. Chicken manure contains about 20% dry matter, so it looks like a mass of paste. But even in this case, regular mixing is needed so as to introduce the oxygen and control the composting process and dry the ingredients. Tree branches and other auxiliary materials can be used and sold
the final sell the final products in bags. Another composting technique is the use of a closed reactor, which is also used to process chicken manure. This way, emits no dust and almost no odor. Although the technology is high, the whole process can be largely automated, and the space required is greatly reduced. And methane can be emitted through the processing of the manure, and the biogas can be used as heat and power. In other ways, such kind of a gas can also be used for the engines to drive the engines. We can make full use of the chemical ingredients in the substance, but we need to pay attention to the emission of the methane. Here is a case in Germany. The biogas is used to generate electricity, and part of the biogas is processed and put into the public gas grid. When the energy content of the manure is low, the biogas plant will have efficiency problems. When the biogas production sometimes only enough to provide heat for the production process of the biogas plant itself. Due to various reasons, and this separation of the solid and the liquid can also produce economic benefits. For example, we can use the solid materials as the mats for the dairy cows. But there are also some side effects. For example, the increase of the production cost and different storage techniques may need to be utilized. In terms of returning the manure to the field or the cropland, there are also very specific standards for the returning of the manure, different returning methods. We face some technical challenges, and the casting and throwing methods are also very challenging. And the fertilization equipment and techniques must always be adapted to the crop varieties. In different regions, this can be a huge challenge. As you can look at the picture on the right, the size of the device matches the width of the field. However, it still needs to be improved in terms of the casting methods. So in larger areas, we needed to drive larger vehicles. For grasslands, this is currently the best technology to deliver nutrients from manure to plants and reduce odor emissions. Using this technology requires large areas of land. This is a solution that can introduce manure into the arable land. Normally, this technique needs to use the transport vehicles, which can transport the manure to the field and then transfer it to the litter vehicles in the field. This is a solution for pumping manure to the field and delivering it to the field with a hose. With the pipes, we can apply the fertilizers and apply the manures to the field. And in China, this can also be done in adjacent narrow fields. In some parts of China, fertilization can be achieved on very narrow parallel adjacent plots. Manure is an important nutrient source that can store most of the energy and resources for fertilizer production to provide nutrients for the plants. We need to make full use of the manure, which is a valuable material, so as to mitigate the negative impacts on the environment. And we have various methods to store, treat, and utilize the livestock manures. We needed to find the best solution for each scenario, but we need to take various factors into consideration, like the livestock type, the region, the crop production, and agricultural social issues. There are many ways we can find the best economic and ecological solutions. This is what I want to share with you, and thank you for your attention. I hope what I shared with you can help you in practice. As I said, and as you may know, waste utilization is not a unified solution. Therefore, we need to choose our best solution according to the specific locations and conditions. Thank you very much. Are there any questions?
Recording in progress.
And Mr. Sun will do the Chinese-Deutsch interpretation.
Hörst du mich?
Ja,
OK， 那funktioniert das。
教授您好，然后正好我也是我们家农场也是有生猪养殖这个问题，然后我们同时呢，我们也做了一些关于沼气发电和那个有机肥还田的一些事情。就有个问题我一直很担心，就是我们都知道那个猪的粪便里面，包括饲料里面还有大量的重金属离子，然后以及一些那个细菌或者是病毒因素，它并不会随着这个厌氧发酵或者是高温或者是腐蚀的阶段能够得到完全的解决，而且尤其是重金属离子，如果长期的以这种还田的方式去利用这种粪肥，我们讲粪肥的话，有可能会导致田间地头它那个土壤表层它的重金属的一个超标，因为那个饲料里面有各种各样的螯合物，然后目前我们也看到很多环保部门也没有提出特别好的解决方案，然后我想知道德国这方面会不会有一些经验和收获。
Jörg, die Frage liegt dran, das Gesamtbetriebsleiter hat Schweinebetriebe bei sich, für sich und die haben auch Verfahren wie zum Beispiel durch Fermentierung, durch Ausbringung der Mühle oder Biogas und so weiter, die haben auch solche Verfahren im Ansatz. Aber in der Schweinegülle liegt viel Metallelemente und das kann man nicht durch Erwärmung oder Beheißung oder Erhitzung von Gülle oder Fermentierung und anaerob Verfahren und so weiter beseitigen. Das lässt sich nicht so einfach beseitigen. Und in China gibt es auch solche Umweltschutzbehörden, die haben auch nicht so ein angemessenes Verfahren vorschlagen können. Und er fragt, ob wie man in Deutschland dieses Metallproblem oder Problematik beseitigt und ob du mögliche Maßnahmen dagegen vorschlagen könntest.
Also Schilong, ich habe die Frage so verstanden, ob wir in Deutschland Lösungen für die Verteilung haben. Ja, das ist ja, ich habe es ja gesagt im Vortrag.
Wegen Metallreste in der Gülle. Metallreste in der Gülle.
Metallreste?
Ja. Ja.
Ja, genau, das haben wir in Deutschland gehabt in den 70er und 80er Jahren. Die Metallraste stammten aus Mastbeschleunigern und ähnlichen Hilfsmitteln und die sind im Futtermittel verboten worden in den Mengen. Und seitdem wir das im Futtermittel verboten haben, haben wir das Problem in der Gülle nicht mehr. Ich sehe auch keine andere Lösung.
Ja, ich kenne die东西效果。首先啊，这个德国遇到过这种情况，听众，德国遇到这种情况，但是在70、80年代，他们在中国在养殖的过程当中，也同样有这些个重金属的残留，也是遇到了如果还田的话，会出现一些个堆积的这种情况。但是呢，通过德国通过法规规定，严格禁止在饲料当中啊，或者说在其他的一些个养殖途径中添加这个有金属或者重金属类成分。这个从此以后通过法规规定之后，德国在这方面就完全摆脱了这个困境。OK， Yes, kannst du bitte weiter? Ja. Oder hast du die Frage schon beantwortet? Oder möchtest du etwas noch hinzufügen zu dieser Frage?
Also bitte noch die Frage.
Ich habe gerade deine Aufführung zu dieser über diese Frage übersetzt. Und ich frage jetzt, ob du noch etwas hinzufügen würdest.
Nein, das Thema Metallreste, das wären ja Kupfer und Zink, vermute ich mal, ist ein Input, der über die Fütterung kommt. Und das kann man nur über die Fütterung auch lösen, das Problem.
Okay. 在德国，在整体的检测过程当中，发现的就是在饲料当中会出现这些个重金属，和重金属的残留。所以呢，德国采取的法规规定，就是从法律上严格禁止这类饲料成分的出现和使用，解决了这个问题。那回答你的疑问了吧？
一部分吧，因为我知道饲料里面还有一部分螯合物。螯合物里面必然是需要在猪的生长过程当中，一定是要添加一些锌、铁、铜，然后这样的一些关键的一些微量元素的。然后就是国内一些饲料我们也去检测过，然后这些要素很可能是生物生长过程中避开的。我觉得这可能是一个很矛盾或者很难平衡的一个问题。然后当然就德国它有很多的检测手段，它应该是可以通过一定的量化手段，然后把它的危害降到最低嘛。然后我觉得就一定要根据剂量去谈赌性，但目前我在国内，然后很多饲料公司发现他们并不是注重这一块，国内目前还是拼成本的一个状态，是这样的。
OK， 我再给确定一下，奥登伯格博士给把这个问题再给阐述一下，就是说你所说的由他来确定一下是不是这个方向可行，可以考虑。
好的，可以。
Also Jörg, der Herr hat hinzugefügt, er weiß, dass man hauptsächlich Metallreste durch Futter bekommt oder zustande kommt. Und das ist in China untersucht, das ist tatsächlich so. Aber andererseits muss man ins Futter noch Elemente wie zum Beispiel Zink, Stoff und Kohlenstoff und auch solche benötigtes Metall noch hinzufügen. Und aber in der Tat ist das leider in China immer so ein Kontrast, wie man das verteidigen kann. Aber offiziell wird das in China noch nicht so dieses Problem beseitigt bekommen. Hatte man das noch nicht hinbekommen. Und das ist in Deutschland bis jetzt einfach durch Zugabe solcher Elemente in Deutschland gesetzlich geregelt und seitdem kriegen man keine Probleme mehr. Ist das so gewesen?
Ob das gerne
Ja. OK， 德国当时遇到这种情况的时候，在制定法律法规规定，在落实这些法律法规的过程当中，也经过了这么一个阶段，最后还是通过法律手段，大家所有的企业都遵照法律去做。 降低甚至避免了这个本身这个重金属问题，需要多长时间？
好的，谢谢。
Vielen Dank. Die Frage ist gut beantwortet worden.
好，感谢奥登伯格先生啊。那么我们今天这个议题就讨论到此。
Somit deinem Teil sind wir jetzt durch. Vielen Dank nochmal.
好，那么我们现在调整一下这个程序哈，我们把会议讨论呢放到最后一个环节。下面呢，请征得训练项目德方专家组的副组长。
Now let's welcome our next speaker, Mr. Henrik Delfs, who is the team leader of the German side for the Sino-German Cooperation Project for Sustainable Animal Husbandry. And his introduction will be about the practice of the demo farms and some recommendations. Mr. Delfs has contributed a lot to the second phase of our projects, and he will be the expert working and engaging in the third phase of the project.
Short introduction. The topic of my presentation is production management practices and improvement suggestions for demo farms. And as you all know, then I'm a pig expert, so I will try to stick on the pigs. But nevertheless, I don't want to bore you with too many details. So if I get driven deep into the topic, please shout or anything like that. In my presentation, I want to focus on two aspects of the pig production, that is farrowing and also nursery. And starting with farrowing, I will go through the production management chronologically. And first of all, of course, before the sows come into the stable should be prepared, so that means high pressure washed, and we heard that also in Dieter Mischok's presentation, washed and disinfected. One thing that is always underestimated is the heating and also the temperature management inside the stables. So that means we don't heat the stables with the animals inside. So that means the stables are already heated up and also the ventilation is on. Just to minimize such harmful gases like ammonia or anything like that. Coming to the animals, the sows is very important that we, especially in farrowing, that we wash them into the farrowing, because then we have a clean and also healthy environment, not only for the sows but also for the expected piglets to be born. Another thing is that the sows are dewormed, and that should be done at least 7 to 10 days before we stall them into the farrowing house, so that they leave all the warm eggs and also the parasite leftovers they had already in the body in the waiting or gestation area, so they don't bring that with their feces into the farrowing stable. When we look on the temperature management in farrowing, we have one major problem to solve. That is the different temperatures which are comfortable for the sow and also for the piglets. That means the sows have a comfortable temperature around about 20 degrees, and the piglets need more than 35 degrees. So that means the temperature management is very vital and also very essential. And we also need to focus on then especially on the piglets. As you can see here, we have I was very lucky to make that shot, because that's a great example how different also the piglets are reacting to different temperatures, and that means that we always have to decide individually how to manage each pen and each group of sow and piglets. As you see on one side, the temperature for the piglets piglets is quite well. You know, the piglets are under the lamp, really comfortable. And on the other side, we see that it is way too warm. And yeah, one problem is when the piglets are not in the piglets nest where they should be, then the risk of you know, higher losses is very high. So that means yeah, they can get crushed by the sow or get hurt or anything like that. Yeah, also very underestimated feed is the water. So paying attention on the water intake of the sows and also on the piglets. I will show you later why that is so important. The sows need 35 up to 40 liters water per day. And we also need to calculate that they need at least 1.5 or 2 liters per born piglet, because as you know, the sows should have a high milk yield. So that means they need to drink enough water, and it's also, you know, combined to the number of piglets then. That's why I always suggest that at least the water consumption is controlled and also documented by the farm management, so that that we have a clue whether the equipment is working, and also see whether the sows inside the group or within the group have have a high enough water intake. Yeah, coming to the feeding, as you see, especially in the first phase of farrowing, there we should also use extra crucial fiber as a top dressing to the normal diet of the sows, because then we have a lower risk of difficult birth durations and or anything like that. So yeah, I just been to a event last week, and there they made a good example of wheat bran, because also in wheat bran we have a not only crucial fiber but also a nice or a good sample of amino acids. And yeah, after you see, after the birth of piglets, the task is that we get as much as feed into the sows as possible, because feed is also, we heard that also from Dr. Mentschel today. It's also, you know, related to the milk yield. So that means as much as feed we can get inside the sows, we should feed them. Yeah, so that means we also need to change maybe from 2 meals to 3 meals, because you can all imagine if we used your if you should get your day dose of of food only once, 2 times or 3 times, you know, just that's way easier to get the feed intake higher than to divide it into more meals during the day. One thing I also realized is that the equipment inside the stable is very not very difficult, but also, you know, is taken not under consideration. As you can see in the table, you have the different adjustments of the feeders, and depending on the diet recipe, it's also changing the amount of feed what we have inside the feeders. So it's very important to calibrate the feeders in advance before the sows get in. And also if we change the recipe, because, you know, then you have other ingredients, and also the amount of feed can change then. So all the feed curves need to recalculate it then. So it makes sense to calibrate the equipment in advance. I'm a very big fan of checklist. So here you see just one example for a checklist right before the estimated birth of the piglets. Then also the workers or the technicians have the possibilities not to forget anything, and not be surprised when the piglets are finally birthed or born. Sorry. One thing that we always need to keep in mind is that the duration between two piglets should not exceed 30 minutes, because then it is time to help the sow, because then it's heavy labor, or again the heavy labor, and it's also the time for midwifery. And when we decide to do that, so as you can see on the right picture, then it's also the task to get as many piglets out as we can, because the sow is already very weak, and it means that we just help them, not only one, but as many piglets as we can get it out. And also afterwards, because we can't guarantee that not any germs got inside, so the medical treatment is very important afterwards as well. The same with the milk intake of the piglets. So the piglets should get to the south as early as possible, because as you can see, the Lg concentration is decreasing after several hours. So it's very important to put the piglets on the south directly. It's the same with the calves in cattle as well. Also, one important part is the cross fostering. We've seen that in other examples today. So where we have where we have piglets all of the same size inside one pen, and just to let them have all the same chances, because as you know, bigger piglets get more milk, and the smaller ones are left behind. So a cross fostering is very important to do. One thing that we need to keep in mind is that gilts or piglets from gilts are also getting to gilts, because as you might know, old sows have a complete other immune status than gilts, because they are a long time inside the herd. They were able to develop a better immune system than the gilts, because they are rarely new inside the herd. So piglets from gilts also to gilts as well. Coming to the weaning, mostly we do that in the morning, because then we have also time for all the other work that is done comparing. Besides that, one thing that is also very important, there's no meal for the sows, because then a hungry sow is very easy to move, because then it's also easy to get them back into the insemination stable. I also seen that the sows are going out, but the piglets stay inside, and then the farrowing stable, even it is not a farrowing stable, gets a nursery stable. So we have to change then, as I said before, the temperature management, because the piglets need up to 28 and 30 degrees. Coming to nursery. Here, the same preparation as I have said for farrowing. So the house must be completely empty. The feeders need special attention, and also the water system should be prepared. So that means normally we need 1 week for service. So that means water inside the pipes had the chance to develop any germs or anything like that. So we let that out before the piglets get into the stable. To the temperature management, as I said before, this piglets need a room temperature of 30 degrees, and then each week we go 1 degree down. We might lower that faster when we have coverage over the piglets lying area, because and then we also have the chance to save up to, let's say, 20% of energy, and the piglets only come out of their lying area when they are hungry. One good equipment are these thermometers, because they show you the range between night and day, and then you can have a look whether the ventilation and also the heating is working during night, especially in spring and autumn, because then also the temperature range during night and day is very high. Yeah, and the same as in farrowing, always have a look on the animals. They are not machines; they are individuals, and they show you the best whether they are comfortable or not. As you see, 2 examples. On the left side, it is way too cold inside the stable, and on the other side, everything is fine, because the piglets are lying in the lying area and not above each other, but yeah, very, very good and very shiny. Here's the example I told you before about for the water intake, and here you see the different water intake demands in different stages of age. And as you see, also already the milk piglets have a demand of 1 up to 2 liters water per day, and that's why we also need to focus on the drinking equipment inside nursery. And one thing that's often underestimated is that only 1 nipple is for 10 piglets. So in most cases they are less than the demand of the piglets. Very, very important is that we don't change feed and the house, because then it is very stressful for the piglets, because they have to deal with too many changes at one time. And also when we change to different feed recipes, because as you all know, the protein inside the recipes change during nursery. So we do that also. We do it not strict, but we do a soft change of feed. And very very important is that the pigs have a pig feedlot proportion of 1 to 1 during the first days, and that means we also need to add extra bowls or anything like that to guarantee that, because they come from the south, had their own teat, and don't know how to share. One important thing is additional material for pigs, not only because of animal welfare, but also for, let's say, extra crucial fiber. So when we use organic material for playing and also for extra feed intake, it's not only for the piglet's health, because then we have less tail biting, ear biting, and also less necrosis, because also the crucial fiber is good for the digestive system. It's also the piglets don't get bored, and it's you might keep that in mind when you install the piglets into the nursery. Also here, a checklist, what we have to do during different amounts of time. And yeah, so the workers can't forget anything. And also the production manager is able to control very easy and very fast. Here another example. And at the end, one management tool I'm a big fan of is just having these plates outside of the stables on the doors. So as you can see, here is documented what has happened inside the stable. So that means stalling in, stalling out, what piglets or what pens have been treated, how many, and also what they have used. So also for the management, it's very easy to control and to have a quick overview what happened inside the stable without, let's say, having discussions or anything like that with the technicians inside the stable. So this is a very easy tool to improve our management inside the stable and to make sure that everything is done correctly. Thank you very much.
Do we have any questions? Thank you for saving time for our conference. And we can always have Mr. And we can always have Delfs to conduct on-site instruction to our demo farm. So perhaps we can have more exchanges in the future. Next, as I said, this workshop is not only a technical workshop, but also a workshop about our project. So I'd like to introduce to you the latest development of our cooperation program. Our cooperation started in 2007. In 2007, the Department of International Cooperation of Ministry of Agriculture signed an agreement on promoting German Simmental cattle. And in 2010, China and Germany signed a cooperation proposal in terms of the technological innovation of our livestock industry. And this cooperation is at a national level. In 2011 to 2014, we officially launched our project in the cattle industry. And Germany provided the frozen semen of Simmental cattle and the brown cattle, as well as the Holstein cattle, and also the software of the ear tag of animals, breeding, and the seed and the feed recipe. And we have 10 demo institutions from the Chinese side. From 2015 to 2018, this project, our cooperation, becomes the first phase because it is included to the cooperation between the two ministries of our countries. And the breeding cooperation has been expanded from cattle to pig industry. And the demo farms have been expanded and increased to 11. And in 2021, our cooperation further expanded to environmental friendly and climate friendly animal husbandry cooperation, and the demo institution increased to 12. The third phase started from 2022 and ended at the end of 2024. And due to the pandemic, we signed the agreement in March. We have 4 areas of cooperation. The first is biosecurity and the identification of animals. It can be categorized into the security measures conducted within the farm, and the other aspect is to establish a identification system for animals, including databases, breeding, and quarantine. The second aspect of cooperation is breeding technology. And the focus of the cattle industry is the introducing of beef and dairy dual purposes cattle. And we also need to establish demonstrative assessment system for breeding and the testing of performances. Within this cooperation area, we also introduce the peatland pig and conduct comparison experiments and establish and strengthen the management of all stations. The third aspect is the nutrition and the feeding system. Now, many pig farms have already conducted planning and improvement of farm in terms of feed and nutrition. We combine closely with the main topics in China. We are committed to reducing antibiotics and improve the ingredients of seed. The fourth aspect is about the breeding environment and the capacity of our climate, including the emission of smile and the emission of greenhouse gases. In terms of the holdings, we plan to use technologies for manure treatment and some separation technologies, as well as the circular utilization of the nutrition. And in this regard, Dr. Oldenburg has already introduced a lot, so I would just skip this part. Since our signing in January 2022, and from January to November, we planned and designed the project with our German counterpart. Until November 2022, 2 German experts came to China and visited 3 cattle farms in Shandong province for on-site instruction. But due to many restraints, the selection of our demo farms were moved online. And we have online exchanges with the 35 livestock companies. Based on the recommendation by the livestock technology promotion agencies in Beijing, Hebei province, Shandong province, and in March and April this year, we conducted on-site field visits to 24 of those livestock companies. And after study tours, we've identified the 10 livestock companies. And in May and July this year, German experts also provided on-site instruction to 10 of these livestock companies in terms of production techniques and animal hygiene, animal health. And in April and in October and September, German experts came to the demo farms once again to provide guidance on biosecurity, feed nutrition, and the treatment of manure. We also held on 29th March 2023 an online workshop on biosecurity was convened, and in June we held a meeting on the introducing pilot online workshop. In July, the management of farrowing pigs, and in July, a delegation of 9 people came to Germany for a visit, and the visit lasted for 8 days. And that visit was carefully designed by ADP company, and we learned a lot from that visit. And I would also like to thank the livestock technology promotion agencies of Hebei Province, Shanxi Province, Shandong Henan Province, and Qingdao City. And here I would also want to introduce to you the working mode of our program. And on-site instruction is an important part. Besides, we also have conference discussion and training. After the conference and on-site instruction, we will formulate some documents, materials. Some of them we will print paper materials and dispatch it to the public. And also we have information posted on the public official account. We also engage both German stakeholders and Chinese stakeholders. From the German side, we have BMEL, GFA Consulting Group. This is a signatory with our National Animal Husbandry Services. ADP Consulting Company, it is the implementer of the project. And we also cooperate with German companies. The number of these partners is about 20. And these companies can directly participate in the project. On the one hand, these companies can provide related technologies, and moreover, it can also provide products to the Chinese side. And by the way, technological support is free, but product is paid. But as required by BMEL, these companies provide products to the Chinese side at a cost price. And some of the companies, they sign business agreements with us. We do not refuse such agreement, but I hope the signing of agreement should inform National Animal Husbandry Services first. From the Chinese side, we have MARA, National Animal Husbandry Services, and technology promotion agencies at different provinces, and also demonstrative enterprises. And the agreement between our enterprises should inform the administrative agency first. And today we also arrange for time to discuss between companies. And I also hope representatives can speak out your expectations and suggestions for our future plan. Today, we have representatives from the technology promotion agencies and representatives from companies, and I hope you can put forward your suggestions so as we can better implement the project. So we can be outspoken about your suggestions. Any volunteers? Let's welcome director from the Qingdao Livestock Technology Promotion Center. I'm very glad to attend and participate in the cooperation program. And first, I'd like to appreciate and thank NAHS for put the program in Qingdao. From the project, we learned advanced technologies and experience from the German side. And so here I'd like to thank NAHS and our German experts. From the introduction of our experts, I think many technical details need to be further implemented. As the details introduced by Dr. Delfs about the temperature and many other details during the practice of the demonstration farm, some of the details are not difficult to implement, but before implementation, we have to know the necessity and to know how to implement these requirements. And I hope we can regularly implement these technical requirements. And I also hope we can have more training for the workers in the farm, so as we can improve the overall qualification of the livestock and animal husbandry industry. So let's invite Director Yang from Shanxi Province to give us some suggestions. I'd like to thank NAHS for inviting me to attend today's workshop. So first, I appreciate a lot for listing Shanxi Province as one of the 4 provinces of this project, and also allow us to have 2 members to go Germany for study tours. And our province and our center attached great importance to this project. And as long as it is needed by German experts and other technical persons, and as long as you come to Shanxi Province, we will do whatever we can to support you. NAHS and Chinese experts and German experts are very welcome to come to Shanxi Province for on-site instruction. And the previous on-site instruction was very helpful. And such instruction is not only useful for the demonstrative companies, but also other small companies in Shanxi province. And I hope more companies can be involved into this project. Another point I want to make is that possible we can have an exchange between companies, and we can learn from each other at a company level. Yeah, as you mentioned, we can further increase communication and cooperation between Chinese and German companies. Now let's welcome a representative from company. Oh, we have a volunteer.
Well, we don't know you are in this field. Maybe we have. I live in this city. I come. 老师你好，我就是在那蚌埠市的，安徽蚌埠市的这边。
I'm a company based in Bumbu City. I did not participate in yesterday's meeting, but I already knew Mr. Delfs. And I'm very happy to know that we can have German companies provide support to Chinese companies in terms of the management of farms. And I think many of his research and experience is very in line with what we are doing now. And besides pig breeding, we also focus on vegetable planting, and we will also be engaged in cattle raising, and we also hope to combine PV technology with our breeding industry. And I think that China and Germany have a lot to cooperate on. And as I know, Germany also do well in pre-cooked food. So I think looking forward, perhaps we can have more innovative cooperation like AI's application, heating facilities, and the digital system, robotics. So I think many German technologies can be applied and used in China, and I'm looking forward to our future cooperation. Thank you for your interest in our cooperation project. And good afternoon. I'm Li Zhi from Shanxi province and from a company of this project. After 1 year of cooperation, and through online training and offline instruction, my company really benefited from this process. And here I have a suggestion. In our future cooperation, we could have longer on-site instruction so that we can have more solid implementation of technical guidance, so that we can have both instruction and implementation, as well as a review of the guidance provided by the experts.
Okay, let's give the floor to Mr. Yuan from IFA Company of Henan. First of all, I would like to thank the NAHS for its efforts in initiating the third phase of the project. My company has benefited a lot from the first and second phase of the project, and we achieved technology progress and achievements through our cooperation. I would like to express my gratitude for the efforts of our Chinese and German experts.
My suggestion is that it can last a longer time for discussion for each company. I also recommend that the German representatives can go to the Chinese companies in person to have field trips to these companies to learn more about the companies. Regarding the specific areas of the third phase of the project, we want to learn more from Germany and other advanced European countries in non-hazardous treatment of the livestock farming. And we want to learn about the specific indicators or indexes of the livestock farming in Germany and other European countries. We want to learn from their advanced experience. My another suggestion or recommendation is that I hope there will be opportunities for us Chinese companies to go to Germany to have a real look at the real scenario in the country. Such kind of in-person trip to Germany will indeed contribute to our future development. Regarding your first suggestion, which is to prolong the time of the German enterprises in the Chinese enterprises, it is true that such an issue is widely talked about during our previous discussions. But in the previous time, due to the pandemic, it is not feasible to achieve this target. But in the future, we will talk about this suggestion in further detail. Are there any other people who would like to share some comments? Good afternoon. I'm from Shandong Modern Animal Husbandry Corporation. First of all, I also would like to extend my thanks to NAHS for giving us this opportunity. Regarding the issues of the diseases and nutrition demands of the cattle herds, we hope that the German companies, they can provide us with support so as to help us to grow stronger. I still want to emphasize the standards, the issues that I raised previously. I hope that we can get the data. I hope we can have the opportunity to go to Germany to learn and to really grasp the knowledge. According to our work plan, we will arrange a field trip to Germany every year. And we have already made the plan for next year. And maybe there will be a delegation organized next year for the expo held in Germany next year. So this is all about the discussion session. If you have any questions or recommendations, you can just refer to and contact NAHS. Regarding to our work plan in the future, we have several considerations. Firstly, we need to sign a tripartite agreement to identify the specific cooperation areas and our targets. This is the first priority for our future work plan. And the second consideration is that we award a plaque for the companies, for the eligible companies who are up to standards for the third phase of the Sino-German Cooperation Project on sustainable animal husbandry sector. Some of the companies, they cannot reach the standards, so we provide such a proposal so as to encourage them to do better. The third consideration is to develop a detailed work plan. Actually, I have to be honest that we haven't made very detailed plans for our work for the first half of this year. The German experts, they just went to the Chinese companies and fields to raise some questions, which is not well arranged. The fourth proposal or consideration is that the German side can provide us with more technology support to hope that they can stay for a longer period of time in China so as to meet the demands and the requirements of the Chinese companies. The last consideration is that I hope the Chinese companies can be more motivated and can take the initiative to scale up our cooperation. If you have any questions or recommendations or requirements, you can just put forward them. Just tell us directly so as to increase our work efficiency. We recommend that we sign the tripartite agreement in the December of 2024. If it is necessary, we can extend the time to the December of 2025. And it is up to the decision of the BMEL because they are the final decision maker. But for the project to be successful, it requires our joint efforts from not only the government but also the companies and the enterprises. As long as we are greatly motivated and are engaged in the project, will the extension be possible? We hope that we can achieve more progress and highlights in the implementation of the third phase of our Sino-German project on the sustainable animal husbandry. This is what I want to share with you. I would like to introduce you a guest. Dr. Hans-Jörn Kroppers, who was the previous team leader of the German side of the project, and the representative from ADP will be our liaison, and we will talk with him and communicate with him more often in the future concerning the implementation of the third phase of the project. Thank you.